The NFL is the ultimate what have you done for me lately business, and for a lot of contending teams in week 1, they did what they were expected to do, which was win. For other teams, though, they did not perform anywhere close to the standard we have grown accustomed to from them, and there are a lot of questions right now surrounding several NFL franchises. Was this a one-time thing from them, or will this set the tone for an underwhelming season? And in today's video, we're going to discuss a couple of things to look forward to within the next couple of weeks, both good and bad for several NFL franchises, and what they need to either improve on or build on from what they did in week 1. There is a lot to dive into for several teams, and without further ado, let's begin. And the first team we are going to discuss in today's video is the Los Angeles Rams. Normally, we talk about Super Bowl hangovers with teams that lost the Super Bowl, as it's a very emotionally draining process from thinking you're going to be world champions to losing the big game and everything that comes after the dreaded Super Bowl loss. It's also insanely difficult to repeat as champions in any sport, but especially the NFL. There's 22 players on the field at once sprinting full speed, and truly anything can happen. And in a lot of ways, it comes down to who is the healthiest come postseason time. Not always, but a lot of the time that is the case. And the Rams in week 1 looked bad. They did not lose to the Bills because of one play gone wrong here or one play wrong there. They were the lesser team from the start, and it showed. Star corner Jalen Ramsey was cooked all night, and my biggest fear for this team was how their offensive line would hold up throughout the course of the 2022 season, and it did not get off to a good start. Quarterback Matt Stafford also played poorly as he threw 3 interceptions, was sacked 7 times, and seemingly did not want to target anyone outside of Cooper Kupp. They also averaged less than 3 yards per carry as a team. And I get they were playing the Buffalo Bills, and yes, the Bills are a tough team, and if they stay healthy, there is a good chance Buffalo represents the AFC in Super Bowl 57 in February. But with how these teams played in week 1, you would have thought the Bills were the defending champions, not the other way around. The Rams' next 2 games are home against the Falcons and at the Cardinals, and given they are coming off of a few extra days rest than the Falcons are, and given it is a home game for the Rams, Week 2 is in some ways a must-win game. There are no moral wins for a defending Super Bowl champion team. The Rams, we can call it what it is, got their asses kicked in Week 1, but how will they respond? Would they roll over and say we lost Andrew Whitworth and have some new players on our offensive line? Or will Matt Stafford and company rise to the occasion the next few weeks? There's a lot going on in the NFC West, and the Falcons game for the Rams in Week 2 is a perfect example of a get-right game. Learn from the horrible tape that was put on the field in Week 1 and kick the Falcons' ass in Week 2, and win at all costs against the Arizona Cardinals in Week 3, and start the season with a 2-1 record. The next team we are going to discuss to look forward to in the next few weeks is how the Philadelphia Eagles play. They beat the Detroit Lions in Week 1 with a score of 38-35 and ran for over 200 yards. One big thing to note, though, was how often Jalen Hurts was running the football. He finished the day with 17 carries for 90 yards, and that will not translate to a full 17-game season. That would put him on pace for 289 carries, and they are not going to run the ball through their quarterback that many times, period. The offensive line they have is very good, and they ran for over 200 yards in the win in Week 1 and averaged over 5.5 yards per carry in the process. They also had 4 rushing touchdowns. And everyone is focused on their Week 2 matchup against the Vikings on Monday night, and there is no reason to suggest Philadelphia can't keep the ground game going against them. Despite the Vikings winning in Week 1 over the Green Bay Packers, Green Bay ran the ball surprisingly well and averaged over 6 yards per carry. If Philly can establish the run against Minnesota the way they did against Detroit, and there's no reason to suggest they can't, this has the potential to be a very long night for the Vikings. It also could be a very long few weeks for the Eagles' opponents, as if they start out 2-0 and beat Minnesota on Monday, their next 3 games are at the Commanders, home against the Jags, and at the Cardinals, all of which can very easily be wins. The Eagles have a legitimate chance to start out 5 or even 6-0 before their Week 7 bye, and it boils down to one thing for them offensively: establishing the run. If Jalen Hurts does not lose them games and the defense does not give up 30 points per game, they're going to be a very dangerous team, and the buzz for a deep postseason run will start to heat up. Entering Week 2, I am all in on Philadelphia and think they have the makings of a team that can go very, very far. Next up is the Baltimore Ravens, and more specifically, Lamar Jackson. Lamar understandably wants a contract extension and has more than earned one. The only thing holding that up is how much money will the Ravens give him guaranteed. And the big thing to watch with the Baltimore Ravens over the course of the 2022 season is how Lamar plays. There are some Ravens fans that think Lamar will return to the 2019 MVP form and use the Ravens not offering him the contract he wants as fuel to the fire and insert the MJ "it became personal with me" meme. However, things don't always go the way they seem, as in the NFL we watched young quarterbacks play and toss around the term far too loosely that he will be the quarterback for the next 10 years, and I myself do this far too often. 2017 with Carson Wentz as the Eagles' long-term quarterback is a perfect example of this. But with Lamar, he's had an up and down past 2 seasons since that magical 2019 run. 2021, he, along with probably 25 of his teammates, and sadly that's not an exaggeration there, ended up on injured reserve, and the Ravens ended the season with a losing record. And for Lamar, the big thing in 2022 will be not necessarily getting back to the MVP, but to be a better player than he has been over the course of the last few seasons, which wasn't bad to be clear, but certainly nowhere close to the 2019 version of himself. How will Lamar respond to not having a true number 1 receiver and throw to Rashad Bateman, Devin Duvernay, and Demarcus Robinson versus having weapons like a fellow AFC quarterback in Josh Allen has, like Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Jamison Crowder? Of course, Lamar has a pretty good tight end, but the argument can be made that he has no true number 1 receiver. This will be something to pay attention to. As Lamar said as of this week, he is not talking about his contract anymore until the season is over. And to be clear, Lamar will be a Raven in 2023 because what the Ravens will do in the absolute worst case scenario if they can't get something figured out is franchise tag him twice. So this is not a savor the last however many games with Lamar as the team's quarterback, as much as it is how will Lamar perform under the pressure everyone knows is there. And from one AFC North team, we go to another to discuss the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are 1-0, and in their opening game, they not only beat the Cincinnati Bengals, a team who swept them last year, but they forced 5 turnovers and won the turnover battle 5-0. However, they lost a pretty good player for some time in TJ Watt, which could have been a lot worse given the initial thought was that it was a season-ending injury. But how will this team play in Week 2 against the New England Patriots? How will they then play against the Browns 4 days later on Thursday night? Will this team do their signature under Mike Tomlin and finish above 500, or will they eventually fall off? And if they start to slip, will Kenny Pickett become the starter? I do think the Steelers, regardless of record, will be one of the most interesting teams to watch over the course of the 2022 season, because there is a possibility this team starts out 4-0. Their next 3 games are home against the Patriots, at Cleveland, and then home against the Jets on 10 days rest. There's also a part of me, though, that thinks they had a lot to do just to get their first win, and 5 turnovers and 7 sacks will not happen every week, though also, to be fair, Steelers fans, you're also not playing the Bengals every week, and especially not now for the next few games, considering TJ Watt is going to be out for some time. I love Cam Hayward and think Alex Highsmith is one of the most underrated pass rushers in the league, but it's not reaching to say they will each be impacted by the loss of TJ Watt. And from the offensive side of the football, Mitch Trubisky was, in a lot of ways, given the keys to a Ferrari with weapons like Najee Harris, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, the highly touted rookie George Pickens, and of course, tight end Pat Freiermuth. But he finished the opener against Cincinnati just 21 of 38 with 194 yards and a touchdown. And how will this pan out over the next few games? I can't wait to see how the next few weeks pan out, not just for the Steelers, but for all of these teams. And that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it would make a big difference and be very much appreciated. Also, please subscribe to the second channel as well, where we do Madden rebuilds, and join the Discord. The links for both are in the description. And until next time, as always, please be safe and have a great rest of your day. Love you guys.